right, everybody, I want to welcome you guys to this week's episode number 10 of the War Room Podcast. I'm your slightly happier host, Andy, and then, of course, we got a guy who was sending me pictures of his meat early in the morning. Rob, how you doing, Rob?
Dude, just living the life right now. Got 4 pounds of beef ribs going on. House smells amazing. I'm starving. How are you doing?
Good, man. Like I said, that's the type of – when you get in your 30s, that's the type of porn you get sent nowadays.
That is the best porn. Absolutely.
It's barbecue pictures of dry rub.
7:30 in the morning, right?
Ooh, nothing like a little wake and bake.
Ooh, love it.
But, yeah, I mean, another interesting week of college and pro football in the books. Would anything pop off to you this week?
Man, it's something I've talked about a bunch of times, and it's again not just the Raiders, but I can't figure out why so many coaches refuse to adapt. I can't figure it out, and it's driving me crazy. Like so many of them, and this is why I give so much. And I know you can't stand the Ravens, but this is why I give Harbaugh so much credit. He completely changed his playbook when he got Lamar Jackson. Completely changed it. And you got to give him props for that. There are so many coaches in this league right now that are just not adapting. And it's annoying. It's so frustrating. And obviously, yes, the Raiders are one of those teams, but it's so frustrating to me, man. I can't figure it out at all.
Yeah. I mean, it was interesting. Nothing really shocked me per se this week in the NFL. I mean, I didn't expect the Cardinals to beat the Seahawks, but then again, after looking at the Seahawks schedule and seeing how everybody was baptizing them as the greatest team in the NFL, they've really only won their game by like 3 points each week. So it's not like they've blown anybody out. So I guess I'm not too shocked anymore. But I mean, another big story even outside of the pro ranks, but this goes back into our drafting talks, is college football is basically completely back. I mean, Big Ten football played, which was good to see. I mean, it was a full football weekend, full sports weekend, and it's just good to see. It's good to see that everything's hopefully getting back on track. But, I mean, being a homer, the Bills won, so that's why I'm happy. Granted, we didn't score any touchdowns against the Jets. We had 8 field goal attempts and 6 made, so that's a little concerning as well.
Good to win, man.
Yeah, win's a win, and I was almost close on finally picking my crush of a team to beat a team this week. The Bengals were close, man. They were close. I just want them to win. I don't know.
Going to college, though, Jalen Waddle, that sucks.
Yeah, he was having a good year, too.
He's awesome, man. I don't necessarily agree with all of the Chase over Waddle stuff. I don't. It's going to be tough for me to find. And again, it's very early, but it's going to be tough for me to find a receiver I like more than Jalen Waddle.
I haven't really looked too far into it, but yeah, I mean, he was a stud, and a interesting trend that was happening this weekend too is, did you see a lot of more players started opting out of playing in college? I don't understand that. And I don't understand how the NFL is going to let this go, because one of the things that this is doing is this is potentially opening the door for future conversations. Like, are these players able to keep their scholarships? Like, are they able to opt out, continue to go to school and learn, finish out the year, get their degree, and go to the NFL draft? Because if that's the case, I would have opted out at the beginning of the year. What's the point of playing if you were a top 10 draft pick? Screw it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you have to base that on a situation-by-situation basis, I think.
Makes sense.
Just my opinion. But, yeah, I agree with you, man. And I said that for a while. Like Trevor Lawrence, honestly. Granted, okay, I get it. Some people out there saying he doesn't want to play for the Jets. That's one thing. But, man, if I were him, I would have not played this year, honestly, because you're guaranteed that spot. Nobody's taking that spot. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I totally agree with you. But on a positive note, man, J.C. Horn, corner, South Carolina, man, that dude is legit. He's playing some ball. And son of one of the most underrated football players in the history of the NFL, Joe Horn, with the cell phone. He's good, man. He's really fun to watch. He's had some very impressive weeks.
Yeah, I mean, he's in his junior year. It's probably a year that if he keeps having these impressive weeks, he'll come out. He's 6'1", 205. So he's a guy that can play with him. I mean, he can play at the next level. He knows what it takes. He comes from that pedigree of family where it's basically been instilled in him in birth. But, I mean, and he definitely gets tested too because South Carolina is absolute trash. Yeah. And they should be firing their head coach this year. But you never know. You never know what's going to happen.
He's going to be a very good man corner. Not so sure, as I haven't seen much of it because he's really up in their face the whole time. Haven't seen him in off coverage too much yet. Still have some homework to do on that, but he's fun to watch, man. He has a very bright future, definitely.
I mean, go back to the conversation you were saying about Waddle. One of the wide receivers that's better than him opted out this year, I believe, is Chase.
I don't know that Chase is.
I would say Chase is. I would make an argument for Bateman out of Minnesota.
Come on. No. Bateman's fantastic, but no.
Those would be my two that I would say would rival it, but the way Waddle was playing, I mean, that adds to it. And I know that's something that it kind of contradicts what we were just saying of like why play, but sometimes when you do play, if you are a top 3, if you're not known as the top 1, you're interchangeable with the other 3. You have to play in order to set yourself apart. But Trevor Lawrence didn't have to play.
Look at Horn, for instance. Imagine if Horn didn't play.
Oh yeah, he'd be coming back for his senior year.
Yeah, so yeah, I get it. It makes sense. Definitely makes sense. So the Steelers, man, huh?
They keep rolling. They keep rolling. They gave up a big lead. They let them get back into the game, but at the end of the day, they still won. They still put it together. I mean, the Chargers, as much as it pains me to say, is Herbert is actually like he's a stud.
He looks fantastic.
He looks real good. Their running back is somebody that I was high on coming into the draft this year as a sleeper pick, Kelly out of UCLA.
Yeah.
He's not running the ball as well as I thought he would, but as a whole, I mean, you forget how many good players that they have on defense. You forget how many good players that they have on offense, and you just don't understand why they haven't strung it together yet.
Yeah.
But it looks like they're going that direction. So they'll be a fun team to watch in the coming weeks. They could definitely be playoff. I mean, I haven't looked at their record in depth. I think they're 2-4, but they could definitely be somebody that sneaks, that ruins somebody's playoff chances, if that makes sense.
I will say, though, and this happens very often because, again, coaching and systems and things like that. This is not the Justin Herbert that we saw at Oregon.
No.
Even 2 years ago, it's not. It's just not the same guy.
No.
He looks so much better.
He understands the pocket. Like it's in college, he was the spread offense, clap your hands, movement.
Yeah.
So it was one read and let it go. Here,
but again, that's so much of that is Oregon.
Yeah, and now he's dropping back, reading his progressions, and he's throwing some passes with absolute just touch on him.
Yeah.
I mean, he just looks good. He just looks overall like a solid player. So, I mean, and then on the opposite of that, you have the entire NFC East where they look like they don't have any football players. And it's going to be cool to see who's going to start selling and why they're going to start selling. I mean, the Cowboys absolutely need to sell, but Jerry Jones –
they'll wind up being buyers.
He does the same thing every year where he'll sell 2 big names and bring in 2 big names, or sell 1 big name and bring in 3 because he's just a stubborn guy. Washington should sell, but they don't have many pieces to sell. They have a couple, but their entire defensive line is made up of young studs.
If I'm Washington, I'm trading Kerrigan at this point.
Absolutely. I think that would be a great idea, but they love him in his leadership.
And I get that. I really do. But there's a lot of teams out there that need pass rushers. I would say that you probably get more than you'd think for Ryan Kerrigan right now, especially if there's a team that's right on the verge of the playoffs and all they need is like a quick fix as a pass rush in the pass rush perspective. I would do that because, man, your defensive line is just stacked at this point, and you don't need him at this point. You really don't. Get that pick and roll with it, honestly.
But the sad part is, and the scary part is, Washington's in second place, and they're a tie out of first.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's like that has to suck for the general manager because you want to be either buyers or sellers or stay put, but like they can make a run at it. So
here's the thing though, okay? And I was listening to a conversation the other day, and it's a valid argument. If you win that division and you know you're not going anywhere, what does it mean? So you're talking 10 draft spots potentially more than that.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? If we have like a record-breaking year and somebody wins that division with like 5-6 wins, which isn't out of the question at this point, you would normally have a top 10 pick there, top 12, top 14 pick.
Mm-hmm.
If you make the playoffs, now you're looking at,
20.
18 to 20 range. Is it worth it?
No.
Is it really? It's
No.
really worth it, man. So to be honest with you, they're just none of them. They're not good. None of those teams are good.
No.
So built for the future. They're all like I think McCarthy is safe. I think. I don't know. I know that Rivera. Dude, props to Rivera. Seriously, getting cancer treatment every week and doing like God bless that man. Unbelievable.
Absolutely.
He's not going anywhere. Judge, I think is safe. I guess.
You would have to keep him one more year.
Peterson, yeah.
He's not going anywhere.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're safe, I'm not buying this year. Sell, build a team.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think that's what they all should do. However, you have some of the worst owners in that division.
Yes.
And some of the worst general managers in that division, where they're just gonna start buying and they're gonna screw their fan base. And it's gonna be hilarious to watch, especially where we live, where if the Giants screw their fan base, it just makes me laugh. But then on the complete flip side of them, so the NFC East is terrible. The NFC West, you have everybody above 500, 3 teams at 5 wins. It's like, what the heck? So you mean to tell me the third team now in that division can make it with the new playoff implications? But it's just, so you mean to tell me the 4th team in that division right now has a winning record? They wouldn't, depending upon how things fade out, but they're not going to make it.
I think the 4th best team in that division right now is the team that lost in the Super Bowl last year.
Yep.
My opinion.
Yep.
That division's unreal. Unreal.
It's
Wilson dude, Metcalf, I was so wrong on him. Wrong on him.
Yes.
I messed that one up pretty bad.
Same here. I was begging the Buffalo Bills not to take him, which I'm happy we didn't in the first round per se, because I'm okay with our pick. But just watching him, I saw the pick by Budda Baker, and I was like, he's not going to score a touchdown. All of a sudden, you see this, like, I don't know, creature, because that wasn't even a human that was running. It was basically like the Predator. Just stalked him down and just destroyed him. And it should have won them the game.
I was going through my Twitter timeline a couple days ago, and I found the the GIF that went around with the dump truck trying to make a U-turn in a cul-de-sac, and underneath it said DK Metcalf and the 3-cone. And I thought it was funny, but it was accurate at the time. His 3-cone was not. It didn't look good, but holy Christ, was I wrong on that one? I was really wrong on that one.
Yeah, he's something special.
One thing I want to talk about is something interesting with the Buccaneers defense. I don't think I've given enough credit to them this year. I watched something this weekend that I found interesting. It was an old video of Rex Ryan back when he was still coaching in college, going over what his dad's 46 defense was. And I'm starting to notice some similarities with what Todd Bowles is doing in Tampa. And it's completely based upon your roster, essentially, your depth chart. Basically, what Tampa's doing right now is you have 5 defensive linemen, essentially, on that team at all times. And you just have Devin White and Levante David covering everything else. And it's on because they're both fast as hell.
Devin White is scary fast.
They're both incredible. So they're basically in kind of a miniature cover two, essentially. Just literally just kind of hanging back, moving into their zones, doing what they got to do. But then you have 5 defensive linemen coming at you. You can't run on that. You can't pass on it because they're safeties, essentially. They're safeties that can shed blocks. It's unbelievable, man. It's unbelievable what they're doing. And I understand that, the 46 defense is kind of predicated on having all 3 linebackers on one side of the line, which is all well and good. But the reason I brought that up is because you essentially have 5 pass rushers and 2 cover guys, which turn out to be the Mike and the box safety, essentially.
Yeah.
That's where the similarity is. It's unreal, man. I'm like, I couldn't even get upset this weekend. I really couldn't because it was 24-20 in the fourth quarter. They picked up we had them at 3rd and 13 with like 11:57 left, and they picked it up on a literally it pissed me off so much. It was like
that underneath route?
It was a dink to Fournette, and he picked up the 13 yard. It was a check down.
Yep.
And Abram being out really hurt us, but like, man, that defense is interesting to watch because they get a pass rush on every play because again, they're sending 5 guys.
Yep.
But their linebackers can cover as much space as normal teams 3 linebackers would cover, or 2 in a box. It's unbelievable. It's really interesting.
They're a unique team in the way in which they built their team as well. So from a defensive standpoint, their defensive line isn't really homegrown. It's partially homegrown, but they do what teams are supposed to do. Go out there and pay for players to get them to come in on your defensive line that's skilled and experienced. Granted, if you can get a Chase Young or somebody like that can play defensive end, I get it. You've got to try. But if you can get those guys to come in, you build your back end with some youth. I mean, Devin White was 2019 first-round pick, and Winfield Jr., the safety, is this year's pick. So, I mean, these guys are studs, and they're young, and they're fast, and they're mean, and they just play down in the box, and they want to hit, and they can knock your block off. And their corners the same way. I mean, their corners aren't exactly household names, but they're just playing out of their mind. I mean, their defense is definitely fun to watch. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens because if Brady keeps playing the way he is, if he's starting to get more comfortable in the system, now you bring in Antonio Brown, who, even though he's been out of football and everyone says it's probably going to be a joke, he's still a guy that you have to respect.
Yep.
So now who do you cover on offense?
It's crazy, man. Their defensive line, I mean, you have Golston, who right now is the only one starting that's essentially homegrown. But you have to remember, actually in theory, no, because I think they did Nunez Roches, I'm pretty sure. No, he was actually Kansas City. So, yeah, the only one they're starting is Golston, who's homegrown. But you got to remember Vita Vea was supposed to be there. He's on IR.
Yep, and he hasn't played. I mean, he plays every 3 days.
So it's Sue is still he's still a presence.
PP.
Then JPP, who's their outside linebacker, if you will, mainly playing the weak. No, no, he's not an outside linebacker. It's unbelievable, man. It's fun to watch. Very fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I guess one last game that we could probably touch on just to mention. I mean, we did talk about the Browns and Bengals, how that was basically the best throw that Baker Mayfield has ever made to end the game to win it. That was pretty cool, minus them beating the Bengals. The other game that I would just mention is just the LOLkins, the Falcons.
God.
They're good, man. They're good. I love how they just blow games in bad in fashion where I watched the highlights and the replays, and after he threw that touchdown pass to win it, players were walking towards the locker room for the Falcons. They didn't even care about they're bad. They're atrocious.
Gurley lost that game. He lost that game. He lost that game for them. He absolutely he tried to. All he had to do was fall at the one. That's all he had to do. He forgot. Just Brian Westbrook it. All he had to do, and he couldn't do it.
Nope.
Unbelievable. And what's incredible is of all the teams to come back on the Falcons, the Detroit Lions, who, in my opinion, are almost as bad, potentially worse than the Falcons at blowing leads. They are horrible at blowing leads. Horrible. Or I guess you should say good at blowing leads. Sorry.
Nah, it's just it was bad. I mean, the other sad part too is Gurley, even though he blew the game, he does not look anywhere near what he did when he was first with the Rams when he got that big deal.
He's still scoring touchdowns.
He's
though.
still scoring touchdowns, but man, does he look like he's lost. Like
Well,
it
his
looks,
legs are shredded.
I was about to say, it looks like he can see the hole probably, but he can't get there, and it's like a little nerve wracking for him. And then moving on to this week, we won't go too deep into them, but go ahead. You got Raiders against the Browns. So what do you feel? How do you feel about that?
I don't know. Gruden says we're going to see a scheme change on defense potentially, which gets me excited, but I don't believe him. Baker had a hell of a second half this week. 3 quarters, really, you could say. OBJ being out hurts them. We have a ton of injuries, so I don't know. I really don't know. I would like to think we're going to win that game. I'm hoping we do, but I honestly don't know.
I can see Mad Max having a field day.
I hope so. I really do.
They got young tackles, so I could definitely see that becoming an issue for them for sure.
I hope so.
So that'll be a good one. I mean, on the Bills side, we have the Patriots that, of course, they looked like they were absolutely god-awful and forgot how to play football this weekend. So they're not going to look that way against the Bills. Bill Belichick's just too much of a good coach. He'll have them moving in the right direction. It'll be interesting to see how Cam Newton bounces back because he's going to be the starter. But it's also, at the same time, I wouldn't put it past me that before the game is played, the Patriots announce a monster trade to get rid of Stephon Gilmore and sell some other players. Because the Patriots are the only team that I know that can be sellers at the same time and still win a division. So it'll be interesting to see what route they do. Not saying that they would win. I still believe in the Bills this week, and I think the offense is better, getting better and on the right track. The defense, if they play like they did the second half, where we only allowed the Jets 4 total yards, we can definitely win the game. But we'll see. It's going to be a fun weekend this weekend because I think there's a lot of other cool, interesting matchups. I mean, the Steelers.
Hold on. I want to say something. Hold on. I want to say something about the Patriots here. First off, I don't know why they would be sellers just because they have the 3rd most cap room right now next year. They're expected to have almost $71 million in cap room next year. I know that number's not finalized yet, but that's a pretty big number. I don't know why they would do that with Gilmore, but I get it. Another thing, though, I'm seeing a meme going around right now that's kind of bothering me. It's Cam Newton, basically with Marlon Wayans' face from "Don't Be a Menace to South Central While Drinking Your Juice in the Hood."
I like it.
And they're talking about his horrible game this weekend, which I get. That is such an insult to Lock Dog, bro. That is such an insult to Lock Dog. What are we doing? Come on. Keep Lock Dog out of it. I get Cam had a horrible game. I understand it. Keep Lock Dog out of it, dude. Don't do that. Come on. I'm sorry. I'm done. That pissed me off. That really pissed me off. I got that one this morning, and it really amped me up. That's one of the greatest movie characters in the history of cinema.
I mean, maybe I haven't seen it yet. I got to take a look at it, but the facial expression could have described the moment perfectly. Maybe it was paying tribute and not disrespect.
No.
All right. I mean, you know best. You know best. But this weekend, some interesting games. I mean, Ravens Steelers are at 1:00, so that's a little weird that that's a 1:00 game. I'm surprised they haven't flexed that or anything later on in the day.
Well, they could still. We saw that happen.
Still. I mean, the later games are still pretty good. I mean, the Chargers and Broncos don't really need to be on a 4:00 timestamp, but you have Saints, Bears, and then you have 49ers, Seahawks. So those are still pretty decent.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to be watching the games, of course, but you're going to be watching the games, of course. I think the bigger thing that I need to figure out is what I'm going to eat during these games.
Well, I found a new buffalo sauce from a local company. I don't have it on me here, but I think wings are going to be on the menu for me.
I was thinking wings the same thing. I was thinking a little. I might flirt with baking, kinda. Like, I'm thinking about breading the wings, but also grilling them at the same time. So do like a pre-grill, get some good char lines underneath it, and then bread it from there.
Interesting.
I don't. But then again, if I crack a beer open at 12 o'clock, I'm not going to do anything.
Yeah.
But
I think I'm gonna be doing some burgers too. I got a couple Cajun seasonings. I'm gonna do a black and blue burger, I think.
what's going to be your ratio?
Uh, oh, great question. What I do since I got the meat grinder is really just what's on sale at the grocery store, honestly, or the
That's
butcher.
what I was going to say.
Um, my go-to, my favorite, will always be sirloin, short rib, and brisket. Just an even third all the way up. That's my go-to. Depends on what's on sale. Like I said, I don't
You
know.
go to a butcher, or are you still going to the grocery store?
Oh, it depends. Depends on what it really, where we are on finances really for the week, to be honest. Depends on how good I've been during the week itself before
Makes sense.
Friday.
Makes
If I have a
sense.
rough week, I'm definitely hitting up, Aldi, something like that.
I'm
But
thinking now. I'm like, I might want a pork chop now. I don't know. Since we were talking about finances, I'm like, I kind of want to know why this is making me think of pork chops. But
yeah, that's tomorrow night's dinner, by the way.
for you,
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, your dinner's pretty much set now. But
yeah.
other than that, I still won my Survivor pick, so I know it's your favorite segment of the day. We need to
I
pick
hate this.
my Survivor
It's
pick.
so stupid.
And I think I don't even need your help. I think I'm just going to go Chiefs over Jets and just call it a day. And just pray nobody else does it and just hold on. I'm at the point now where we're losing like one or two people a week. And I still have some really good teams. And it's like, do I start getting creative with it? But you know what? Every year I try to get creative. Every year I try to pick like the Jets are bound to win this week. Let's pick them to get them out of the way for later in the season. No, I'm not doing that.
You got a couple good ones. You have a couple good ones.
I mean, part of me wants to go Panthers over Falcons, but I know the Falcons will probably win that. Part of me wants to go Raiders, but then I get nervous betting on teams that I have interests in.
Did you pick the Titans yet?
No.
Them against Cincy is another one at Cincy.
See, my heart goes out to Burrow. So like this is why I don't do fantasy. This is why I don't do any of that, because I like certain players. And it's
So
like,
what do you like more? Do you like Joe Burrow or do you like money?
I like money. That's why I'm going Kansas City over the Jets.
No, I get it. I believe me. I that's a given. But
I think I wonder if and then we'll be done with this. Let's see, Jets schedule. I wonder if I could just ride out the year by picking anybody that plays the Jets. So I can pick Kansas City. I can pick the Patriots. I can pick the Chargers. I can pick the Dolphins. I can pick the Raiders. I can pick the Seahawks. I can pick the Rams. Nope, can't pick the Rams. I can pick the Browns. Oh, I'm riding this bad boy.
they destroyed the Raiders last year. Keep that in mind.
Oh,
The Jets.
Raiders were in bad shape.
No, they should have won that game. They took the week off. That was bad. Just throwing it out there.
The Jets are about to sell everybody.
Oh, yeah. By the way, Quentin Williams, what do you give for him?
Second round.
He has been fantastic this year.
This year he's been fantastic, but if I can sneak out from the dumb Jets a second rounder, take it.
Considering the defensive tackle class next year is not exactly huge, I wouldn't be upset with a team doing a late first.
Yeah, I could see it happening. What I would give is I would start with a third and a sixth, could be a fifth, depending upon how he plays. They say no, they want more. I'd say fine, take a second. They say no, we want more. I'd say kick rocks.
That's an interesting one. I think next week's episode will probably be all about the
deadline.
Actually, no, it's coming up November 3rd. It's we won't be able to then. Oh, what a
we'll be able to flirt with it. We'll be able to flirt with it. So
Might
No
have to
big
do
deal.
one. Might have to do one this weekend.
Yeah, maybe, we could definitely do that. But this episode's over. I'm tired. I'm sick of looking at you. Make sure everybody, if you are listening, if you are downloading, we appreciate it. Make sure you follow us and interact with us on our social handles. So you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at _War Room 33.
If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, sign up for the notifications, like, share with whoever you want. But thank you very much. Appreciate all of you guys. Respect to Lock Dog.
Yeah. Tell your grandparents. Grandparents love us.
They do. They really do.
Say it.
Later all.